So I know the title of this video may sound a bit dramatic, but I really believe that the Vuce trade has set up Orlando beautifully. I've talked about Franz Wagner a lot this season, we'll mention him a bit more in this video, we're going to talk about Wendell, but also they still have one more pick to go from this Vuce trade. But real quick, I'm not faulting the Bulls for making the move. I'm pretty sure the Vuce trade made DeRozan approve the sign-and trade. Also, Levine's now on the last year of his deal. You had to do something. Anyway, Wendell dropped 30 points against OKC, and I think he's showing some really interesting signs on offense. We'll talk about his defense as well. He certainly has your normal big man stuff, as in rolling to the rim, attacking the offensive glass, hovering around the dunker spot, but for one, the jump shot, it's showing some real signs, man. On the season, he's shooting 33% from outside, but he's at 40% in his last 15 games. His attempts from outside are not super high. I mean, on the season, he's at about 3.5 attempts per game. But even so, I think you've got to be intrigued by the progress he's made from there in one season. And that's not just because the numbers are getting a little better. I just feel like when I'm watching him take some of these threes, he looks comfortable with it, man. I think the form looks good. He shoots a little over 70% from the line. That's a bit encouraging. The mid-range has also been pretty nice. Similar to the threes, the mid-range attempts are not through the roof, but the percentages are good. He's actually shooting 50% from mid-range this season. If the early signs on Wendell's shooting end up ringing true, combined with his inside scoring potential, then the Magic have really got something. Speaking of that inside scoring, like I said, you've got your normal big man things, rolling to the rim and all that. But similar to his jumper, his ball handling is making me go, that's interesting. I've got a fancy stat for you. According to NBA.com, in his last 15 games, Wendell is averaging about 3.5 shots per game after he attempts at least 2 dribbles. This is a big guy doing this, and I just told you he's making strides as a shooter. I don't want to get carried away, but the seeds that Wendell is already planting as an offensive player, it's pretty exciting. Was that a metaphor I just dropped? I don't know. Have I also mentioned that his passing numbers are beginning to creep up there as well? The icing on top of all of this is that his extension is a hell of a bargain. It was tough to get a gauge on Wendell by the time his tenure in Chicago ended. You gotta feel great now. And that's not just because of his offense, but his defense as well. Karl Anthony Towns had a rough time against him in the game they had recently. Orlando's defensive rating is 6 points better per 100 possessions with Wendell in the game as opposed to out of it. We should not be that surprised by this. I mean, he was known as a defensive anchor coming into the NBA, even if his tenure with the Bulls was a bit up and down. He's been defending outside of the paint, and Orlando has given him the liberties to switch on defense. He's coming along really nicely, man. And I'm going to say it again, his contract is such a bargain that you can just throw a parade off of that. And of course, one of the picks that they got on top of Wendell became Franz Wagner. I've talked about Franz a good amount this season, including just in a rookie video I did a couple days ago. I think we all get it by now. His handle, his shot creation, his inside scoring, you gotta feel good about it. The fact that Orlando got Franz and Wendell out of the Vuce trade and they still have one more pick to go, could you ask for a better scenario? Franz, Cole Anthony, Wendell, Mo Bamba's been interesting this year. If Jonathan Isaac ever comes back, their own pick after this season, that'll be in the lottery. Then you've got all of their picks moving forward on top of the next Bulls pick coming next season. It's a pretty good start to something.